Hi everyone, Danny here with Ground State Tarot. Well, today was quite a day. If you pay attention to the headlines, you might or might not have come across the news about Cesar Chavez and his sexual abuse of girls and women for many years that was kept hidden in order to protect his legacy, which is now completely being undone as it should. And so it really made me think of just the whole idea of patriarchy collapsing right before our eyes. This is connected to the Epstein revelations. This is connected to the way that the Trump administration deflected attention away from this through its military actions in Venezuela and Iran. This, I would even argue, connects even further down into the sexual abuse scandals that the church, Catholic Church, and other churches, it's not just a Catholic Church problem, that has also been within the Baptist churches here in the United States and other denominations. All of that is connected to this. We're seeing the slow but very sure dismantling of lies, one way or another, whether we believe it to be timely or not, it always comes. We've seen that over and over again recently. So, in that spirit, I want to tap in and I want to ask if we are indeed witnessing the collapse of the patriarchy, first and foremost, and what comes next. I've pre-shuffled these decks, but I'm flipping them one last time so that we are all comfortable with the random polls. Are we witnessing the collapse of patriarchy? Yeah. Ten of Pentacles is the card of legacy, the card of generational legacy. This is absolutely the card of tradition. This is the card of, I would even say, inheritance, the things that get passed down, that are deeply rooted in culture, in society, the things that have allowed the good things to continue and also the bad. And in this specific context, when we're asking about the collapse of the patriarchy with the Ten of Pentacles coming out, it's letting me know that this is up for review. Karma has decided that the time is now for this to be collectively reviewed, for all of us to see in a very equal, democratic way, the way that social media has really expedited the way that we have consumed this information enough to be able to draw these conclusions and connect these dots is what I'm seeing here, right? We are all collectively, with this circle here, I'm being nudged intuitively to, we are all connecting the dots together, and we're seeing how there have been patterns that have been right before our eyes, and yet we have just sort of existed with those patterns untouched. But again, up until now, flexibility. it is time for us to be flexible as we revisit these patriarchal patterns that are outdated, that have put so much innocence in jeopardy, in danger. It's time for the inflexibility, that rigidity, and that dominion obsession of patriarchal power to become more flexible, to become more malleable. And also at the same time, we are being asked as a society to become more inflexible, less tolerant of these old patriarchal patterns that have actually put so many people down. It's really interesting to see this imagery in this card, and it's making me think of the innocence that has been ripped away in a way that is deeply the practices that made us tolerant. I'm going to translate this word flexibility to tolerant. We became tolerant of behaviors that were deeply rooted, right? This is reminding me again of the Ten of Pentacles matrix here, with the idea of this being a deeply rooted pattern, an energy of this long-lasting effect, this sort of energy being born from this person's body really lets me know that this is something that is really deeply embedded in our collective psyche, and it's become too rigid. The behavior that has led to these revelations, this pain being inflicted on the innocent, right? Oof. Wow. Yeah. Masculine energy is being judged right now. The masculine energy that was inflexible, that really charged its way for a really long time, its way through the structures that we set in society, whether it's political structures, educational structures, religious structures, economic structures. They have all been tainted and misused by men in particular who became drunk on power, who became inebriated with the idea of being able to bend people, no pun intended, but I mean, yes, kind of, unfortunately. Like, I'm like, oh, why would you nudge me there, spirit? But that came out as it's supposed to, in a visceral way, because that's exactly what this power has done. It has forced that, again, that dominion, that conquering, but more so from a place of sport. It ends up becoming a sport, and it's a sport that ends up again, and I don't use the word sport lightheartedly. I use it more in terms of like hunting. It's become another way for men who are not integrated, who are completely drunk on their masculine energy and disconnected from their feminine energy, those are the people that really have to reckon with their behavior, and we as a society have to point it out. Yes, we have to point it out. And there is a degree of gratitude that we can draw from this collective experience. Those of us that feel so disgusted and just completely disturbed by this behavior, this sort of collective reckoning of this type of really dark actions that were hidden, they are now coming to light. And there's an opportunity for us to be grateful that we no longer have to hide these things underneath the rug, and that we can finally address things and bring the light, shine a light in places that were dark, and bring a sense of sort of divine reckoning to a situation that, again, was very dark and unfortunate that it lasted for so long, and that so many of us were fooled into supporting and defending such a legacy for so long. So now I want to see what comes after. An ability to protect ourselves in the future from this kind of behavior. An ability to stand our ground as a people that are no longer going to be tolerant of this kind of behavior. There's a sense of coming together collectively to not only protect the vulnerable, but to really set a new standard for the future as far as respecting people's space, their sovereignty, their rights, their humanity. That's what's being unlocked. None of this is in vain. Grounding. That's exactly right. Grounding. We are learning to regulate our collective nervous system so that we don't put up with this stuff anymore. We are learning to ground a new way of being, a new way of collectively existing, so that we are no longer tolerant and flexible to the point of becoming pushovers and allowing others to step over our sovereignty, our humanity again. Forgiveness. Oh, that's a tough one. And notice how the sun makes a comeback in the imagery, but now we incorporate the moon. And it's this idea of learning to integrate the experience. That's the whole point. The masculine energy has existed on its own thinking that it is the end all to be all energy, when in reality it is a part of a whole. It is not the whole itself. The wholeness of the totality of power. It is not the totality of it. And the male energy is being asked to learn to humble itself and ask for forgiveness. And this is the tough one. This is the tough one, but I have to say it. We also have to learn how to forgive ourselves for staying quiet as long as we did, right? It's not about learning how to forgive the necessarily the abhorrent behavior. We can, from a spiritual standpoint, forgive the man while making sure that his legacy is tainted as it should be and destroyed. But there is also a degree of understanding that he was a fallible man and he obviously did not live up to his own ideals. And so there is a degree of learning to forgive such abhorrent behavior, and it's not easy. I am not at all saying that it's easy, but it's important to do it for ourselves and for future generations so that we have a sense of clarity on how to move forward. And forgiveness is it's a very nurturing energy. It's a very powerful energy. Counterintuitively, some people might think that it's a weakening, it's a vulnerability. Yes, you have to make yourself vulnerable, but it's not a weakening. It's actually a strengthening act. This is indeed the key. This experience in and of itself is collectively one of the keys that we need to unlock a better world, a better future, new traditions, new patterns, new ways of collectively being, unlocking this new ability to respect each other's presence, honor each other's presence. Nothing happens in vain. And so, at the end of the day, everything is always happening exactly as it should if we know how to open our eyes and our hearts.